Hey everybody, we're going to try something a little different today. I'm going to try recording the audio as I go today so that I don't have to do a voiceover later. And we are making this pendant. Now, this portion up here you can do with just a single large ring or with something like a pinch bail, but I chose to use a set of rings, basically. But I'll cover that later, but it's not a requirement to do it that way, clearly. For this pendant, I have 3 different colors of my large size rings, which are all 16 gauge 5/16, purchased from the Ring Lord. Links will be down in the description. And then I have, for the connecting rings or the small rings, all of these are 18 gauge 5/32. So we have 18 large rings total, and not counting the bail portion, we have 32 of the small rings. And I have a combination of pre-closed and pre-opened over here because I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of weaving the rings together. And as usual, and I know I've been forgetting to mention these, I have 2 separate pairs of pliers. I use Xeron pliers. My right hand are the 90-degree bent nose, and my left hand are the short nose. There are links in the description for those as well. Those are affiliate links. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and I'm going to be showing it as I go, when you go to open and close rings, you do not want to open your rings like this because it will distort them. You want to open them in a way that makes them more offset and then wiggle them back together because we would like our circle rings to remain circles. Now, to start with, I'm going to be starting with the black rings. Then I'm going to be going to this color is called Black Ice, and then to my bright aluminum rings. We're going to take 2 of our large rings and put them on a small ring. Sorry, this is why I normally do voiceover. And then I'm going to add an additional 2. So essentially, basically, it's 4 large rings onto a small ring. And then we're going to double up that small ring. And then we have our first little bit put together. We're going to take one end. We're going to continue along. These small rings can be a little bit finicky to close with the thicker gauge of the large rings. You just have to be patient. We have our first row on our gradient finished. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to add 2 of our middle color. In this case, it's the Black Ice. And double that up. Apologies for the traffic noise. This is why I usually do voiceover, so that I can talk and record my voice when there's not 50,000 other noises going on. Now we have our 3 black sets and then 1 black ice. Now we are going to take and into the black rings that are closest to, actually no, we're not going to do it that direction. And I actually forgot a couple of ring. This is all the things that we deal with. Okay. So yes, we're going to go into, not that one, I'm going to go into the second one, not the first one. We're going to connect the black ice to that second ring to form a little triangle. There we go. Now onto black ice, we can put our next pairing of black ice rings. And as usual, double it up. Now this weave is a Japanese 12-2. You can go larger, you can go smaller. It's a nice flat weave overall. I'm going to take this ring, go into that middle set of black rings again, into the newer set, second set of black ice. Those together, and then, of course, double it up. Now our piece looks like this. We've got a essentially loose pair of black rings, but all four of these pairs are fastened together. And we are going to take that second pair of black ice and now connect them to the original black pair of rings. There we go. Now into that second set of black ice, we're going to finally add our last pair. Double it up. And then we're going to take this pair, connect it to this pair. And I'm realizing now that I prepared my rings incorrectly for what I'm doing as far as pre-opening and pre-closing. That's fine. So now what I'm going to show you is how to attach it if you are wanting to close the big rings instead of closing the small rings all of the time. What you would be doing is using pre-closed smaller rings that are on all of your bigger ones. So I just need to get some of these added on here so that it is prepared for that final row of large rings to get woven onto it. I'm doing this because for some people this will be the easier way, just because working with the little itty bitty rings and trying to close them can sometimes be difficult, especially as you're trying to get them to go around other rings. They're not always the most cooperative. And you see how it can be difficult sometimes to find the closure when you need to reopen a ring that you've closed. It's a good problem to have, but it's still obnoxious sometimes. Okay, just make sure that I have everything missing. Yes. Okay. So now on my large rings, I'm going to take 2 of these smaller rings that are already pre-closed and put them on one of the large ones. And then, because this ring needs to go in this spot, I'm going to go through these 2 small rings and the first 2 small rings on the next one. So that is settled in between. Now I need to double that up. Whether it's the large rings or the small rings, they've got to be doubled up for this particular weave. It's going to follow the exact same path, and the second one generally goes in a little bit easier, although it's sometimes a little bit more fiddly to close. Then next pair is also going to start with 2 small rings on it. In this particular one, we're going to go through these 2 loose rings, these 2, and then the first 2 on this last pair. So in all, this ring will be through 4 pairs of small rings. And then follow the same path through. And close. So we've got this loose pair and this loose pair and one more large pair. Through this pair, through this one, and of course the school bus or something is outside while I am trying to record. And this pair. Ring slipping is just a part of how things go sometimes. You don't want to grip too hard, but you want to be firm. It's a delicate balance. So here, this is finished, and now we can choose which end we want to put our bail on. You could also put it in the middle of it. With the flexibility, it drapes a little too much for me. I'm going to do it just like I did on this one. So in this case, I'm going to put little 2x2 chain at the top. So the way I'm going to do that is take a small ring, put it through the top here, and take 2 pre-closed small rings. Also put them on there. And then double that up. And these rings, these 4 small rings plus 1 additional ring that's a slightly different size, are not included in my original count of 18 and 32. Just to be clear. Now, because most chains are going to be going in this direction, I am taking another ring and putting it through that top one. Now, this ring is actually a 18 gauge 7/32 ring because it happened to be out and available, but you could use any size ring you want. You could use another one of the small rings. You could skip this entire section here and just use another large ring as your bail. It's up to you, but here it is, all finished. And you can do this in any number of colors. You could do it all in one color. You could do it, every pair of rings is a different color, whether they're large or small. The possibilities are endless. If you liked this tutorial and you want to see when more of them are released, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you want to see some of the other videos that I've already posted, you can click on what should hopefully be a link over here. Have a good day.